if you're not willing to put 2 hours a week for a limited amount of time into developing your product, nothing else is your product. This is your product. Your coaches are your product, right?
It's already in there. I'm on to it.
It's so stupid how nervous I get for every one of these.
You get nervous because you care, Ty.
I want it to be good, and I don't want to mess it up. I don't want to mislead people, and I want people to think that I'm real good looking and pretty and smart.
Going to show us how you're going to sit again?
Yeah, kind of. I call it the ready for anything gargoyle. Hit with your questions. What do you got? Retention. Boom. Coach development. Bam.
I would hate to be that angle right there, right now.
It's not a Zoom one. It's nothing to see.
I've punched in, don't you worry. I've punched right in there.
Oh, good.
What is up, you sexy beasts? We are back with another Ty and Wykie special. And if you're not aware what this is really me just wanting to somehow just give back a little bit, help a little bit to the CrossFit gym owners community. So whether you are a gym owner, maybe a coach or a gym manager, or perhaps you're just a member who cares about your gym owner who's just making so many mistakes, and all you want to do is just love on them and help them, and maybe you can pass this video on to them. So we sit down every fortnight and we tackle one topic that we think is important when it comes to running a gym. So today we're going to talk about probably what I think is your biggest asset as a gym owner, and that is your coaches. That's probably the one thing that sets you apart as a CrossFit box to any other gym around you, is the coaching. They probably have better facilities than you. They probably have better bathrooms, better looking everything. But one thing they don't have that's better than yours is your coaching. But your coaching can probably be better. And so today we're talking about the CDP. What does CDP stand for, Ty?
Yeah, man. I wish I had some funny acronym to throw in here, but it stands for Coach Development Program, right? And everyone gets it. Everyone knows it. Everyone goes, yes, of course, Ty, we need to develop our coaches. But how many people are actually doing it, right? And the unfortunate truth is, for most boxers, by the time they realize that they need a coach development program, it's the day they need a coach, right? It's a coach leaves, or the classes grow, or they start to take a step back. They want to spend more time at home with the kids, whatever. And they go, man, I need a coach. And because I didn't have the sense to predict this 6 months ago, I have to make compromises, and I need a coach today. But unfortunately, coaches they take a little bit more than 12 hours to develop, right?
Don't you just grab your best athlete in the gym and make them a coach?
Yeah, chuck them on a level 1, right? If they've got a sick back squat, they're definitely going to be a good coach. So yeah, what could possibly go wrong, right? And so the whole idea here is, you know you're going to grow. You know coaches are going to come and go. You know you're going to need coaches, whether it's the same number of coaches you have now, or whether you're going to keep growing and you need more coaches in the future, or whether you want to offer a better coach to member ratio by having 2 coaches or a coach and assistant, whatever. You know you're going to need coaches in the future. By putting it off, by kicking the can down the road, when that day comes when you need the coach, you cannot teach classes anymore, you're too burnt out from doing it for too long, or you just can't possibly cover those classes, whatever it is, you're backed into a corner where your only options are to fast-pace someone through coach development. And I don't know about you, but it took me a little bit longer than 2 weeks to become a half-decent coach. For me, it took about 10 years, right? Or you bring in an external coach. And that always comes with compromises, right? You don't know what you're getting, right? Even if you think you know what you're getting, you watch them teach a sample class, you go, that's what it is. That's probably not what it is, right? They're bringing in different cultures and different ways of doing things that might not align with the way you do things. And also at the end of the day, there's a pretty good chance that you're just a stepping stone in their coaching career, which is cool. And I'm all for it. And they should have an awesome career. And if they want to keep moving up and doing bigger things, that's great. But I'd rather not be a stepping stone in someone's career. I'd rather not invest all this time and money in a team member, knowing that I'm probably only going to have them for 6 or 12 months or whatever. It makes a lot more sense for me to take the business by the balls and go, I know I'm going to need more coaches in 6 months. I'm prepared for that. So I'm going to run a coach development class now, or a program now rather. And so when the time comes, I'm not just going to have enough coaches, I'm going to have more than enough coaches.
Yeah, I love that. Quick story time. I was very opposed to running or investing time and effort into running a coach development program. And I remember Ty finally convincing me to put the work and the time and to do it. And this was before I knew that I was going to move countries and get my gym to just run on its own. This was before that. So we bit the bullet. I think we ran a 12-week CDP, very comprehensive. And at the end of that, I ended up having like 3 or 4 really good coaches that could kind of like wait in the wings. And around the same time that we finished the CDP, I decided to actually move to Australia and needed the gym to run by itself. And the CDP is hands down the thing that saved my gym at the time, because I was able to move countries, get a manager, and was confident that I had 4 great coaches in the wings that could take my spot, because I was coaching majority of the classes. So when Ty said today that he wanted to talk about the CDP, I was like, yes, let's do it. It's such a valuable thing. So
yeah, it's like saving money for affiliation or insurance, or we forecast what are our needs going to be in 6 months' time, and then if we're smart, we prepare for that, right? And we know we're going to need coaches, right? Whether it's through attrition of your current team or through growth of the business, you're going to need coaches. But the day you need them, if you don't have them, you can't just click your finger and make them magically appear, right? The other reason we need a CDP is because we have to choose, are we professional coaches or are we hobbyists? And everyone watching, I'm sure, is going, no, we're professionals. Or, okay, well, prove it. Right? How do you train your people? If I got on a plane and the pilot came across the tannoy and said, welcome to the flight, we're going to be doing this and all the stuff we don't care about, and then said the co-pilot today, look, he's shadowing me, right? He gets it. He's a really good passenger, so I'm sure he'll be a good pilot. I'd be off that plane so quick, right? So if we say that coaching is a profession, we have to treat it like a profession. We can't just take the strongest, fastest person in the gym, throw them on a 2-day level 1, have them shadow us like somehow. Shadowing drives me nuts, right? This idea that I'm such an incredible coach that just by being in my mere presence, you're going to gain so much experience, right? I'm not even going to have to point out all of the subconscious, tiny decisions that I made that caused me to say that cue or help that member in that way. You don't need to know the context, right? You just need to see how incredible I am, and through osmosis, it's going to rub off on you, right? Stop shadowing. Stop it. It's a part of the process. It's not the process. It's not enough. Again, if you got on a plane and all the co-pilot had done was shadowed, I'd be asking some pretty serious questions, right? Because everyone wants to focus in coach development on this, what we call the science of coaching, right? The technical side of things, right? Just go to a level 1 and do it, and there you go. There's the science, right? Do it a bunch of times, train your coach's eye. That's not the hardest part. The hard part is applying that technical aspect across a bunch of different members with a bunch of different needs and abilities and scaling options and different ways of receiving coaching and communication, the art of coaching side of things, right? That's what makes coaching hard. So if I'm throwing someone into the deep end and I can go technical knowledge, check, right? They've done their level 1 or whatever I think is enough, and they've shadowed me, check. You're going to get what you deserve out of a coach, right? If you want a seriously talented coach who lives and breathes your culture and your community, but also is usable from day one, right? Not someone that you've got to watch over, right? Okay, cool. They can teach a push jerk. Great. Can they deal with someone when they get injured from that push jerk? Can they deal with a member who's being disruptive to the class? Can they deal with a class where, it's capped at 10, but 13 people have showed up and now there's not enough equipment, right? Can they herd the cats? All of this stuff that, to be honest, it took us as coaches, because we didn't have programs like this when we came up. It took us a decade to work this stuff out, right? I want a coach to be better than me in 3 to 5 years, right? And I don't care how many decades I've been doing it. I had to learn the hard way. I had to test and adjust and trial and mess things up again and again. I shouldn't make my coach go through that same journey, right? Yeah. I think there's a responsibility when we get to the top. We have to send the elevator down and help them best we can. And a couple of certificate weekends and shadowing just doesn't cut the mustard. No,
it doesn't. And I think coaches that lack the art of coaching, they'll often hide behind the science of coaching. So they will overcoach and show all their knowledge and how amazing they are and what they know, because they don't actually have, like you say, the art of coaching. And so they have to hide behind all this knowledge that they have. And it's very easy to pick up an insecure coach that doesn't actually have those skills that are so important that you're talking about, the art of coaching.
I'll take a coach that's a good person, that's empathetic and engaging and professional and loves what they do, but is still a little bit raw in the technical side of things, I'll take that person every day of the week over someone with no people skills who's kind of a bit of a cranky prick but is a technical genius. And we all know those coaches. Some of us are those coaches, right? I'm the worst. I'm the cranky without the technical genius side of things, right? But you can't just expect them to go through the same 10,000 hours to figure this shit out like we did, all right? That's not fair on them. That's not fair on your members. And it's not a smart business move, right?
So good.
So I guess the next point, and you've got some really good perspectives on this, is who can join the CDP, right? Is it just the fittest, fastest people? Is it just the people in the gym who go, I want to be a coach. I want to stand up in front of the class and tell people what to do? Or can someone else do it?
Yeah, I think you've got a great story on this particular point. I know you've got a coach, or you had a coach called Corey, who, when you meet Corey, especially in the early days, you would have never picked him to be a coach. He could hardly speak in English, and he now owns 1 million boxes.
It's like he went from barely being able to speak English, joining the CDP, to being one of our best, if not our best coach, especially at nonverbal communication, to now I think he owns like 17 boxes in Japan. He owns the majority of CrossFit gyms in Japan. He's killing it, right? And he never would have got that opportunity if we had these strict requirements that a lot of boxes seem to have.
Yeah. So the answer is anyone and everyone can do the CDP, because you don't know who's going to be a good coach. You don't know who's going to do that course and come out the other side an absolute superstar coach. You may think it's the good athlete or the person who moves well. It often isn't. It's often the person that you least expect to be a great coach turns out to be amazing with people. So the answer is anyone that's interested can join. And not only for that reason, but also we need lots of bodies in the CDP because we're trying to mimic an actual class, right? So if you only have 2 or 3 people doing it, but your classes have 15 or 20 people in them, that is not going to be group coaching that you're going to develop them in. If anything, and develop a personal trainer who can work with 1, maybe 2 people. So really important to actually have the numbers so you can have people that move differently and actually learn how to manage a group of people. So as many people as possible.
Anyone who wants it.
That's it.
Right? Like who do we think we are if someone says, hey, I'm interested in coaching, to say, you're not that guy. Right? I've been developing coaches and instructors for a long time. I started when I was 17 with martial arts instructors. That's where this CDP program began. Then in the military, instructing instructors. Then when I got out, I don't know how many coach development programs that we ran ourselves, and then helped other boxers run around the world. But it's a lot. And, I'm still human. I still like to pretend I know who's going to be the coach. Oh, yeah, we'll end up hiring that guy. That person will never make it. I'm wrong a lot more than I'm right. Right. I've had people who were good movers, who were confident, who had everything, in life, in class environment that you'd want from a coach. And then the second you put them up in front of even just a fake class, they freak out because it's public speaking. And then I've had other people like, shout out Corey Takahara, English wasn't his thing and he became an incredible coach in English. I've had other coaches who, one of them couldn't do an air squat ever because they had bone-on-bone impingement from a motorbike accident, became one of our best squat coaches because he knew everything about trying to remedy a squat. And he ended up owning his own box as well here in Australia. So who the hell are we to be gatekeepers to coaching, right? Someone gave us an opportunity once upon a time. I don't know about you. I don't know about you guys, but I probably didn't deserve that opportunity as a snotty-nosed 16-year-old, but someone gave us an opportunity and it changed our lives and it got us to where we are now. So why not pass that opportunity on? And again, doesn't mean they're going to become a coach. They have to earn it. They absolutely have to earn it. But I'm at least going to give them the opportunity to earn it.
Yeah, I love that. And that's a really good point. We make it very clear at the start of the CDP that, hey, just because you do the CDP doesn't mean there's a job waiting for you at the other end. Not at all. If you've got 12 people doing the course, you're not going to have 12 coaches that you're going to employ. So that's an expectation we said very early on that, hey, this doesn't mean you're going to become a coach.
Yep.
We obviously choose the best ones, most suitable ones for the gym. And the others become great coaches in the process and can do with that what they want.
Yeah. And at the end of this, you're either going to get an incredible coach, you're going to get an incredible assistant coach, which is a position that nowhere near enough gyms take advantage of, right? Someone who maybe doesn't want to or doesn't have the skill set to run a class, but they can assist a coach running a class, make sure that that coach has as close to 60 minutes of coaching as they can. So that coach then isn't worrying about setting up demos, about turning the music up and down, about all the little administrative bullshit. Or worst case scenario, you've got an incredible keystone member. You've got a member who now lives and breathes the culture of the gym in a way that other members don't, right? They'll be the one, if they see a new member struggling or looking at the bars, not knowing what to grab, they'll be the first to jump in and help. They're not going to coach in class because they know they're not allowed to. But no matter what, even if these people don't turn into coaches, they're going to turn into something that is valuable to the business. And in the process, it's going to be incredibly valuable to them, both within the gym and in their regular life as well.
Yeah, you'll gain some great leaders in the community.
Yes.
Those 8 or 12 people that go through this course will be the leaders in your community that will just set the standard and lift the whole game for everyone. Yep. So, yeah.
100%.
So, okay, I'm sold on it. So how do we go about running this thing? How do we run a CDP?
Yeah, it's fun, man. It's fun. I'll be honest, right? If I could choose between just being a business coach or traveling the world running CDPs, I'd do CDPs, right? It is so much fun. So many box owners, they hesitate to do it, either because they don't see the value in it, so they don't want to invest the time into it, which is insane, right? Or honestly, because they're insecure. They kind of have this internal doubt of, oh, who am I to tell other people to coach? I'm maybe not as confident a coach as I should be myself. Doesn't matter. If you've read one more chapter of the book than someone else, you've got a story to tell them, right? So just pass that knowledge down. They know nothing. Anything is better than what they know at this point, right? So how do you run it? We have a CDP breakdown that we've worked with boxers around the world, and it's broken down into 2 stages, right? Essentially kind of a beginner stage and an intermediate stage, stage 1, stage 2, whatever you want to call it. Both the stages have exactly the same structure. They just have a slightly different purpose. Stage 1 is all about confidence, because it doesn't matter how good that coach is technically or even in the art of coaching. If they're not confident, it's useless, right? They can have all the knowledge up here, but if they stand up in front of a class and go, hey guys, today we're useless to me, right? So I'm teaching them, I'm developing them, but I'm doing it in a really safe way. I'm making sure that there's safety nets so that they don't have a negative experience that might knock their confidence. Stage 2 is about competence. It's the opposite, right? If stage 1 is, all right, you got this? Yeah, you good? You sure? Stage 2 is, all right, let's see. Right, and we're going to throw marbles under their feet at every opportunity we can, because by the end of stage 2, they'll have experienced every nightmare scenario that it took us decades to experience, right? They'll have gone through realistic scenarios of someone injuring themselves, of a member, arguing and refusing to strip the weight off their barbell, disruptive members, mums that won't shut up gossiping to each other out the back. Like everything you could possibly imagine in a class, they'll have gone through in stage 2. And I enjoy stage 2.
I love the stage, man.
you get to mess with them a little bit. But so both stages run the same. The format is exactly the same. We start with a 2-day intensive, and that intensive is just around movement familiarization, right? So you're just going to go through the top, 10 to 12 movements that you go, I need them to know these movements from a technical point of view. I just need them to know, points of safety, points of performance, scaling options, a textbook knowledge essentially of them. Not super in depth. Some people will already have that. I just need to know that next week when we're doing teach backs and I say, all right, we're going to do a push press, they're not going, oh, which one was that again? Right. So it's purely just, very similar, I guess, to the level 1, right? Here's the movements, break it down, a little bit of kind of peer review teach backs, and that's it, right? So that's the intensive at the start of it. Then we roll into the CDP proper, which is a weekly 2-hour class over 6 weeks. So this is just for stage 1. Stage 1 is 6 weeks, 7 weeks if you include the 2-day intensive. Every one of those classes is going to be split into around about 30 minutes of art of coaching concept stuff, right? Where we talk about, so as an example, we might talk about communication and different methods of communication, something as simple as projecting your voice. It's something a lot of us do, especially men. We just do naturally. For a lot of people, if it's someone who's worked in a corporate environment, or a lot of ladies struggle with this, they might not know how to be loud without screaming and screeching, right? A lot of guys as well. So we need to teach them that. We need to teach them the difference between verbal and tactile communication. We need them to understand the why behind what we do, right? So it might be communication. It might be see a lot, say a little, right? That classic new coach drama of, you've got this, fix that, this. We don't want them doing that. Whatever the concept is we're working on, we're going to spend about 30 minutes getting them to understand it, giving them examples, doing some demonstrations, that kind of stuff. Then the last hour and a half is going to be just teach backs. So everyone comes up one at a time. We pick a movement. The movement is there as a vehicle to practice the concept, right? Not the other way around. Again, they get the movements, they'll get enough reps of the movements, but what they don't get yet is the art of coaching concept, right? So if we're talking about praise, criticize, praise, right? The shit sandwich. And the movement is a push press. You're going to come up here, you're going to teach the push press, but the thing I really want you to focus on is the concept of praise, criticize, praise, right? They come up, they do the teaching. I'm there as a bit of a safety net. If they freak out, which people do occasionally, I'm there to stop it, to kind of help them, to give them a little bit of guidance. Once they're done, we go around the whole room and every person gives feedback. What did they do well? What could they do better? This way, everybody's engaged and everybody's learning, regardless of whether they're the one up the front of the class. And then I jump in after the peer review with anything I've got to say. By the time you get to the end of stage 2, by the way, you'll have nothing to say. They'll be picking up everything you were going to pick up and stuff you didn't pick up as well, which is pretty fun. We give them the feedback. Everyone gives them a clap. Next person up. Okay, you're going to do push press as well. Same thing. Focus on praise, criticize, praise. Teach backs, clap. Next person, next person. So we spend an hour and a half on that. So that's the classes. So we roll through. I'll give you some examples of the beginner class. So in class 1, we talk about coaches' standards, just kind of read them the riot act so they understand what we're doing. And then the teach backs would be air squat, front squat. Class 2, communication is the concept. And then we do back squat, overhead squat. Class 3 is ideas. This is the framework we use to help people take their knowledge of a movement and turn it into a teachable structure. So it stands for introduction, demonstration, explanation, activity, and summary. If you know the movement and you can just ask yourself, how do I introduce it? How do I demonstrate it? How do I explain it? What's the activity? How do I summarize it? It makes it so much easier for them to deliver that. It's not something they'll use forever, but it's a really good starting point. So that's how every single class runs. Then at the end of the 6 weeks, congratulations, they did it. They made it through the program. We give them a written test and a certificate of participation, passing, whatever. At this stage, stage 1, the written test is a shoo-in. Everybody should get 90% or higher. It should be really simple, right? Fill in the blank, praise, blank, praise, right? That's simple. Because this stage is about confidence. I want them walking away, oh, wow, I got 95% and I got a certificate. Cool, right? They're feeling good. They're going to need it for stage 2. Stage 2, exactly the same structure. We're going to start with a 2-day intensive, a Saturday, Sunday intensive. With this one, we split it up between movements, more advanced movements like your Ollie weightlifting and some advanced gymnastic stuff. But we then split it up between a movement and a fitness concept, right? So as an example, on the Saturday, we do the clean for 60 minutes and then basic anatomy for 60 minutes. The snatch, then nutrition. The muscle up, then mobility recovery. So we're kind of going stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. And if you can bring in external experts, subject matter experts into this for each of those, that's really, really helpful. So we do the 2-day intensive again. We know that they're ready. We know that they understand those more intermediate and advanced movements. Now we jump back straight into the 2-hour coach development program classes, again for 6 weeks. And it's the same concept. We're going to sit down at the start of the class. We're going to talk through an art of coaching concept. They'll be a little bit more advanced. And then they're going to do teach backs. But a few things are going to change. Number 1, there's no more safety net. It's the opposite. I'm going to be looking for opportunities to mess with them every chance I get. Now, this is person by person, obviously. If there's someone who's still struggling a little bit, I'm not going to be a dick to them. But I want to make sure that they have confidence in themselves that if something goes wrong, that they've got this, right? I'll give you a good example. So, how many gyms teach their coaches what to do in case of an injury, right? What's your actions on, right? In the first 10 seconds of an injury, what are you doing to manage that injury, to manage the class, to manage anyone in that class who might be able to help you? Most people don't do it because they go, oh, everyone's an adult. My coaches are smart people. They'll be able to deal with it. One of the first times we ran the CDP, we did the injury session. We teach them the drill that we do. We repeat the drill a bunch of times. We have them go through it. They know it. First person to get up, one of the girls, Tanya, she gets up and one of the members goes down with a fake injury, right? She doesn't know who's going to go down. They never know who is going to do what, which has them kind of paranoid all the time, which I enjoy as well. One of the members goes down and starts screaming like a stuffed pig to the point where it kind of scared me. Oh, is he actually okay? He goes down. He's rolling around on the ground, grabbing his knee. Tanya just stands there, blank, and then starts bawling her eyes out, right? And that was just her natural reaction to a stressful situation, right? If I had have just trusted that this very intelligent, competent lady would be able to take that action in a real class, what if that's a serious injury? What if that's someone slipping from toes to bar and doing some sort of spinal injury, right? So we reset. I pulled her aside, gave her a little motivation. You're good. You got this. We went again. She dealt with it perfectly, cried the whole time, but dealt with it perfectly, right? And then, months and months later, someone was injured in her class and she was able to handle it without crying this time. So I'm not just testing them. I'm not just holding their feet to the fire because I'm a dick. That's part of it. But mostly it's because I want them to have the confidence, and I want my members to have the confidence that these coaches have got it. They don't just know how to teach a movement. They can really coach a class. So some of the concepts that we go through in stage 2, class management, right? Herding cats, injury management, disruptive members, building lesson plans, special populations. This is another one that blows my mind, right? We've got some of the greatest coaches ever. Cool. I'm going to pull them aside and what considerations do you need for a member in their first trimester of pregnancy, second trimester, third trimester? What about someone with neurological divergence? What if they have autism or Asperger's? What's the difference? How do you treat them? Like old people, right? What about people over 60? We can all say that we're great coaches till the cows come home. It doesn't manifest itself. We actually have to train these people, right? So that's the kind of stuff that we teach from the art of coaching side of things. And then the movements are also a surprise. It's not like in stage 1 where it's everyone's going to do the push press today. They have no idea what movement I'm going to give them, so they need to be Johnny on the spot with all of their movements. Then at the end of the 6 weeks, we finish again with a written exam and a certificate. This time it's not a shoo-in at all. It's a legit exam that they're really going to have to know their stuff to pass. And the certificate is there because we're humans and people need pats on the back and a certificate. So that's the CDP proper, right? So I know that was a lot. Sorry, guys, that was a ton. But essentially,
so good.
It's 2 blocks. It's 2 stages. Each stage starts with a 2-day intensive around movement familiarization and exercise science familiarization for the second stage. Then it's 6 2-hour classes done weekly over 6 weeks. And then it's an exam and a written test, and a certificate at the end. At the end of all of that, we do a debrief and an offer. So we sit down with every single person, one by one, usually a week after the final class, and we go through a debrief, feedback, where they stand, and if they're going to get an offer, this is where we give them an offer. If we run this program well, no one will be surprised. Everyone knows what they're going to get at this point. If they're ready for it, they know they're ready for it because we're giving them feedback weekly, nonstop. If they're not ready for it, they know they're not ready for it because we're not scared of giving that feedback, right? I'm not doing them any favors by building them up for 12 weeks and then pulling the rug out from underneath them because they weren't ready, right? So at the end of this, if we're ready to give them an offer as a coach or an assistant, we do so. If not, we let them know where they need to work on. If they really want to be a coach, and I've had a bunch of people go through this and do this, if they don't make it the first time, they'll sign up next year and they'll do it again. And they'll be so much more hungry next time. And honestly, they usually end up being the best coaches, the most passionate coaches. They're not going to let one little failure kind of hold it back.
Man, I love it.
It's as easy as that. That's all.
That's all you have to do. It sounds like a lot, and it is a lot. It's a big investment. But I want you to think about things you've done at the gym for the business, and you've been so proud about the value you've added and how, just how great it makes you feel. There is nothing you can do that will make you feel more proud about the investment you've made into your business than running a CDP from start to finish. You know, yes, it's a lot of work, but from experience, it's totally worth it.
Yeah.
And I remember finishing the CDP and just feeling like I've never done anything more valuable for my business than that investment, you know, the time and effort. So, man,
you become a better coach.
100%.
You know, we all have our weaknesses, but you have to teach those weaknesses. So you have to address them, and you don't want to be that guy that's, you know, teaching them how to communicate when you suck at communication, and then next week they're going to catch you in class going, hey, you suck at this, right? So all of a sudden you have to become a well-rounded coach. Plus, you know, a lot of this stuff, we don't have it in our head. We can break movements down. Oh yeah, it's this, then this. That's easy. But we've never really broken down, most of us, the art of coaching side of things, right? How do I communicate? How do I deal with a disruptive member? What is my process? You know, I just react to injuries, but is there actually a process I follow? So you have to start examining yourself as a coach, which that alone will make you a way, way, way better coach. And it sounds like a lot because I'm over-caffeinated and just spitting at 1,000,000 miles an hour, but essentially you're going to run an info night for your members that's going to go for about half an hour where you explain it and invite them. Then you're going to run a 2-day, a weekend intensive, and then it's 2 hours a week for 6 weeks. That's it, 2 hours a week. And then you just repeat the intensive and the 2 hours a week for another 6 weeks, and that's it. If you're not willing to put 2 hours a week for a limited amount of time into developing your product, nothing else is your product. This is your product. Your coaches are your product, right? This is like Apple being like, I don't know, man. Our marketing is pretty good. We don't need to improve the iPhone. We'll just make the box shinier, right? No, right? Your coaching is the core of what you do, right? Everything else is just dressing. Give it the time it deserves. I get really frustrated when people say, oh, it sounds like a lot of work. I don't know if I can commit that much time. Right. And usually these box owners are the same ones that are, you know, they're spending 2 hours a week doing programming that they don't need to be doing anyway, but they don't want to put it into coach development. But yeah.
I love it, man. And I've got a question for you. I never did this, but for the elite gym owners out there that have everything squared away and maybe they've done one of these, is this something you can perhaps turn into another income stream for the business? Is this something you can run and have other boxes send their coaches to get developed? Have you seen any gyms run a development program, get external coaches in to come and get developed, and then they go back to their boxes, or you charge for it, or is that a thing?
100%. So for most people, it's not the right call. It's probably just not what you want to spend your time doing, because you got to, you know, take it pretty seriously if you're going to charge people for it. If it's just in-house, we don't charge for it. But if you've done it once or twice and you go, yeah, I've got a good program and I think we can help other people with this program, and maybe I also am growing at a decent rate, and instead of just having my small community, I'd like to be able to pick and choose from a larger community of coaches. You can absolutely turn this into a program that people will pay thousands of dollars for. We've had 3 boxes in particular that jump to mind that have charged big money for this. One of them, Unscared, is a good example. They've had coaches fly from all over Europe to be where they are in the Netherlands just to do this program and to pay for it. So yeah, you can absolutely charge for it if that's the direction you want to go with, and if you're good enough to do it that way. At the other end of the scale, I'm sure there's a lot of box owners who run small gyms and they go, we can't justify running this, right? Maybe you've only got 50 members and you've got one coach and you only really need one more or something like that. How do you run this? How do you get a big enough group together so that it's worthwhile? If you're in this situation, I guarantee there's another box in that same situation, or another 2 boxes in that situation. So reach out to them. Stop, get your head out of your ass and stop being scared of talking to the big scary box down the road. Reach out to them. Say, this is what we need. If that's what you need as well, maybe we can link up. And then we do, one weekend we'll do it at my box. One weekend we'll do it at your box. Now, instead of me teaching everything, we've got the combined knowledge of multiple coaches. Instead of me just being able to bring 3 people, you've got 3 boxes that are bringing 9 people together. And at the end of it, you might go, you know what? Stacy is a member of my gym and she's just not a good fit as a coach for me. And then one of the other box owners go, can I have her? And if we're willing to do the right thing and not get in the way of someone's career goals as a coach, I go, yeah, sure. And maybe they've got a coach that suits me better. We've seen this happen a bunch of times. So if you're a big gym, an established gym, and you want to sell it, you absolutely can. Not the first time around. Get it play around with it the first time. And if you're a small box and you're not sure if you have the numbers to run it, get together with a couple other small boxes and do it.
Great idea.
Yeah.
Love that. Mate, thank you so much. That's some great knowledge there. And again, guys, if you see this and you're a coach or a member and you think your box owner can benefit from it, send it to them to watch. This is free information, amazing information. And if you need more in-depth explanations or some help from Ty, all his stuff will be linked down in the description, so check that out. Anything else from you, bud?
That's it. Run a CDP. Don't be lazy. Shadowing is nothing. I love you, but stop.
Awesome, guys. You stay sexy, keep drawing love, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.